Alright guys, welcome back to the Zia Sound Collective. This is John.
Austin.
Yucca.
We're going to talk to you guys about some stuff that we find the most interesting to us. Anything from music to movies to everything.
To absolute nonsense.
And nonsense and just general conversation from what we had for dinner last night, or not at all, because brokenness, but...
I had fish sticks.
You a gay fish?
No.
Yeah, you need to tell me right now.
I'm a gay fish.
I'm not a gay fish. I'm a lyrical genius.
I literally cannot hear the word fish sticks anymore without thinking, are you a gay fish?
With the South Park coming to mind. But first thing on topic is that we actually did our first weekly album review, meaning that every week when we post this on Wednesdays, it's going to be, we're gonna make sure that we get them out on Wednesdays. They're going to be on our SoundCloud and everything of that nature.
We're each picking a different category, different genre, or different whatever.
Different genre, different album, different type of thing, so we don't keep it, and it doesn't turn into this mundane task. But the first album that we did was Light the Torch.
Revival,
that is the name of the album. Light the Torch was formerly known as Devil You Know. The vocalist for that band is Howard Jones. Howard Jones was formerly and famed from Killswitch Engage. He was in a couple of albums with that band from 2002 to 2012. So that was a pretty long time that's a decade of...
That is 10 whole years. 10
whole years of being a vocalist for that one band. He was also in Blood Has Been Shed. That was his first original, project that he was in, from what I've seen. They have some pretty good music. Besides that, this whole entire review is going to be our perspectives of this particular album. In Light the Torch, formerly known as Devil You Know, Revival.
Best place to start.
Uh-huh.
Album artwork is probably the best way to go, I'd say.
Yeah, the album art's pretty interesting. Let me go ahead and pull it up.
I mean, the way I saw the album artwork, the way what sense it gave me was that it for those of you that haven't seen it, it's effectively an angel standing behind what looks like a standard human. The human is somewhere in the middle between being a statue and still being a fleshy human sack of humanness. The angel is obviously stone, and there's a devil actually in front of the human attacking, and that demon is stone as well. So it's almost as if the human stepped in front of the attack of the demon, and the angel looks effectively a little bit shocked, I guess, for that to have happened, which I think really plays to what the album is, really, as far as lyrical content, as far as the way it feels, what the songs are even named themselves is a little bit interesting. There's a religious effect to it. What did you think about that, John?
It's very interesting. I don't know, like the whole album, listening to it, it had a very... It did have a very, very interesting religious aspect to it. It starts with the first song being, what's it called again? Die Alone. Die Alone, and then going into the last track being Judas Convention. I had a very distinct feeling about it being about you as a human and how you go through your life, and how when you die, is there an afterlife, and you're finally figuring all that crap out, and it's going to be very distinct. But I also had a feeling that it was about like the crucifixion of Jesus and resurrection of Jesus.
Yeah.
And in no way, shape, or form do I feel like Light the Torch in any way is a Christian band, because there's other Christian bands out there that do, I feel, a better job with that aspect of fucking music in terms of dealing with like Christian metal as a whole. Very, very interesting on how like the whole music aspect of it is played out too. But if we stick to just like the musicality of it, it's very metalcore sounding, meaning that metalcore is like the fusion genre, like thrash is with hardcore punk and heavy metal. Mm-hmm. Metalcore is the fusion genre of more. It's weird because it's kind of more punky, more punk, thrash is punk and heavy metal. Metalcore is more like hardcore oriented. It's more on that realm, and going into the thrash metal and going into the heavy metal, it has all those different genres associated with it.
Like we talked about last week, folders and subfolders. It meshes at some point.
Yeah, so that's that whole thing. But
correct, that diddly do.
His whole vocal just abilities is amazing to me for being in the business for more than about 20 years or more than 20 years. And he hasn't slowed down. He hasn't sounded aged. He doesn't sound like he's about to be 50 in a couple of years, like at all.
Yeah.
And that's the most prevalent thing to me, is that he still sounds clear as day. And with his times in Killswitch, that's Howard Jones. With his time in Killswitch Engage, that 10 years didn't slow him down at all. I mean, he had a couple of health issues. That's why he left Killswitch. And I feel like altogether, all in one, that it is a very well-rounded album. Very bookendy, but it's very well-rounded in a sense.
I feel like even though his vocals are so obvious and so out there for this album, I feel like it's not an absolute showcase album of his vocal ability. It's very cohesive. The whole band is there. I mean, it's mixed extremely well, which you don't get all the time. I think it's very cohesive sounding. You have a lot of different instrument isolation as well, which really plays into tying the whole thing together, especially when he gets a little bit out there with some of the vocals. It's very harmonious, melodious for sure. It's good beginner music. If you're getting into metal, it's not absolute hardcore heavy shit. It's kind of just like, hey, I'm getting into this. This is a nice medium. It's like when you like first start drinking coffee when you're younger, you know, how you put nothing but cream and sugar, and then eventually you start easing up on both. And then when you're like 50 and your soul is blackened from years of work, you like the coffee just like your black dead soul, just full of flavor and demise.
Very true. I really like the album as a whole. It was a solid album, and his vocals I really dig because he sounds like a pharaoh to me. Like straight up, if you watch the Prince of Egypt, it feels like he should be singing over that fucking movie. So that'd be fantastic. Like him and David Draymond, both to me sound like ancient Egyptian people. But yeah, the first song I really, really dug because it was super like fucking like actiony, like get you pumped, let's go do shit kind of thing.
Die Alone.
Yeah. It's like one of those songs where even like you're doing like a mundane task and you play that song and it just makes it feel epic.
Right, and then if you're not doing a mundane task, like you're snowboarding, you're doing something awesome, then it just fits well with what you're doing.
It's very punchy.
You could go to the gym and hammer down. You might get thrown out of Planet Fitness for being too much if you're listening to that. So, unless you're going to like Prime Time or one of the other fitness places, don't fuck around with it too heavy.
Yeah.
But, you know.
Yeah, like it feels like a fight scene would play perfectly to that song.
Most definitely, yeah.
It's a great album. The production, it's off Nuclear Blast, by the way. They're very heavy and prevalent in the metal community. They're a metal, what's the word, record company. They deal with a bunch of other artists, and they've released a bunch of other albums by other bands, and it's very interesting for this specifically. All in all, I recommend Light the Torch. If we were to give Light the Torch's revival, again, they were they're formerly known as Devil You Know. What would be like on a rating level from 0 to 5 stars would you give this album?
I think due to the mixing and just the fact that I love his style of vocal, I would do either a 3.75 or a solid 4.
I don't know, man. That lead guitarist is a fucking axe god. He's he hammers some shit out that I was like, damn, bro, chill out for a minute. Yeah. I mean, we're talking about the first song a lot. I feel like there's a lot of notable songs on there. Definitely for me, the Sound of Disbelief or the Safety of Disbelief was really good. I enjoyed that. Additionally, the Sound of Violence, I thought that was kind of funny because it seems like a play on words for the Sound of Silence, which was covered by Disturbed at some point, which was killer, by the way.
Fucking epic.
But yeah, and then Judas Convention I really liked as well. Raise the Dead was solid. There's a lot of notable songs on there. I think if I had to give it a star rating, I'd probably go low 4s, high 3s, somewhere in there. If we're counting halves and quarter stars, things of that nature. But
definitely going to keep listening to it, like for sure.
It's going to be listening to a lot more.
Staying in my library.
I liked Virus a lot. I liked the very first song, which was Die Alone. That's kind of why I started talking about that a lot. Right. Raise the Dead was cool. I liked that one a lot. Pull My Heart Out was pretty cool, I thought. And The Great Divide was pretty cool.
Yeah.
The thing that I did not like about the Judas Convention about it was that it was very bookendy. Like, it was very in your face about, this is the end of the album, by the way.
Yeah.
Because he says this is the end of the story.
Let's break the fourth wall today.
Like that's what he did at the beginning of that song, telling you that this is the very. It started off slow, and then it went into this. We're gonna get really metally, and then it goes back to this really weird, like, just vocal talk. sing talk.
And I could see that for sure. What was funny is the first time I listened to it all in order. And then when I kind of disassembled it and I actually started listening to it on shuffle, that's when I started enjoying that song a little bit more because it didn't feel like it was closing it as much. It felt like once it was on shuffle, it felt like it was just another song in the album a little bit more to me because I would hear it just in the mix somewhere, you know? So maybe that'll help. I mean, we're all going to like the songs we liked initially, like Lost in the Fire was solid for sure as well.
Yeah, that was
but I think now that we're talking about it, we're going to listen to it more. I mean, it's a new album. How many times have we really listened to it?
Yeah.
You know, we're all going to listen to it another few times at least, probably within the month, and then we're going to be like, oh shit, I'm kind of vibing with this now.
Yeah.
Not so much with that. We're going to get more lyrics and stuff like that, but overall, solid album, I would say. Vocals were killer, for sure. No question.
Musicality was good.
Yeah, it was good.
One thing that didn't really jump out to me for some reason, I don't know why, but it's the drums. The drums didn't really... They were punchy, they were there.
Oh, yeah,
they were very
there.
prevalent, but they weren't something that I was just like, his technique is the shit. Like, it wasn't something that I would go, that is... like the best drumming that I've ever heard.
This drummer on this record is his first record with the band.
So
he was a new guy to the whole outfit.
But still, I think there was nothing for me that really jumped off of the album as far as drums were concerned. Like that lead guitarist nailed it. Obviously, the vocals nailed it. You know, but there was nothing as far as the drums that I was like, that's something I haven't heard before. That's something that's fresh. That's something that's a different take. You know.
And for your bassists out there, the bassist rocked it too. I know everybody forgets about the bassist.
You know,
unless you're Flea or fucking Lemmy.
You know what's funny about bassists? Do you remember the old Guitar Hero games when they first came out?
Mm-hmm.
One of the loading screens said, get a mini fridge before a bassist because it's more important. Or something to that effect. And that always cracked me up because my cousin always had to play bass. It was fantastic. But
yeah, because everybody shits on bassists.
Yeah, no.
It was actually a really funny video I saw on Facebook. It was the dude from Blink.
Yeah, it was Mark.
Yeah, Mark. And he was holding like a bassist convention. And he's like, guys, we need to stop looking so bored. And like pointing out like Flea and shit. Look at Flea. He is having fun. He is getting into it.
It's the time of his life out there.
Yeah. And he was always talking about the band and stuff like that. And like at the towards the end, he's like, and I don't even talk to Travis and like at the very end, he's like, I need to call Travis.
He doesn't talk to Travis before, during, or after the show. Mm-hmm. Just kind of what they do.
Oh yeah.
Because he was just like, there's part of it where he's talking, like the bassist, the fake band is talking to the drummer about what they're going to do after the show because the guitarist and vocalist are going to get all the poon that they can get.
Oh yeah.
And that type of shit. I mean, it's interesting. Just this whole album as a whole is very... It's very good. It's good in many ways. I just fear that I'm going to get bored with it really quickly, personally.
Yeah.
Just that's something that happens with me whenever it comes from these types of records where like the vocalist is really, really, really well known, and then the rest of the band isn't known really well, and they can just flip people like a fucking diner flips their employees. They just
or their customers, even.
And it's
the
really,
attrition rate.
it's really bad sometimes with some of the metal bands that are out there. But I mean, the Faceless is one of those bands that have had a fucking horrible track record for the last like 5 years. They're a metal band. They're prog metal. They're a bunch of they're
or even
metal
Ghost
and shit like that too.
Well, that shit came out about Ghost.
That too. The whole band got booted, and it was just basically booted out of the band, and the vocalist had saying who was going to be hired or not.
And they're like, we deserve money. We wrote this album, and he was like, no, the band is me. Is always me.
Well, yeah, I mean, vocalists have a tendency to do that. I mean, that brings up another thing: is like, who do you think is the most underrated vocalist?
That's the thing, though.
Or who are underrated vocalists that you're aware of, or that you know of?
Multiple. There's a bunch. There's like, I don't know, but for me, I'm biased on it because it's.
Come on, John. Come on, John.
It's Corey Taylor for Slipknot and
Stone Sour.
For those of you listening, I baited the shit out of him on that one. We all knew the response for that one.
Because of the fact that they are my favorite band, but if I were to exclude him from everything in terms of, there's a bunch. I mean, you got Howard Jones, you got Jesse Leach, who is from Killswitch Engage, originally took his former spot back after Howard Jones left to go do health issues and then start Devil You Know and then do Light the Torch.
Yeah.
That whole thing, there's those two guys, there's Levi Benton from Miss May I.
Levi.
There's a bunch of people, like there's a lot. Even in rock, there's the vocalist from Gemini Syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
He's pretty cool, just because I like the sound of his voice. And
I find I like the unusual ones too.
yeah, and I like, I don't know, I kind of do like Jonathan Davis. He has a unique voice. Even Marilyn Manson. There's the list goes on and on with everybody.
Everybody sounds good still, except for Marilyn.
Marilyn
Like
Manson,
from what I've seen, he doesn't sound as good as he used to.
But
Not
goodness
live.
is in the ear of the beholder for Marilyn, I think too.
Like live, he doesn't sound that good to me at all. Like the drugs and age hit fucking hard.
I mean,
But-
have you seen the dude? He looks
He's
railed, man.
But his latest album was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it was done really well, and people were just like, that's a fucking Manson album.
Yeah.
That's Manson at 50 instead of Manson trying to do something from
When he was 30.
when he was 25
Well, yeah.
and shit like that. So that's the thing that I find most interesting, is that he did an album that he could do now. And that's why I'm really curious to know what's going to happen in the next couple of years with what Slipknot's going to put out compared to what Stone Sour's going to put out, because they can't do that anymore. What's Linkin Park going to do since Chester Bennington fucking killed himself?
Yeah.
They all said that they're gonna continue. They just don't know how yet.
But that's
a
the
hard
thing.
question to answer too.
That is,
And
I
like,
mean,
there's nobody I can ever think of that could take Chester's spot as that vocalist.
yeah, we can say that all we want, but I mean,
You know what I mean?
Somebody-
There's gonna be somebody who comes in and fills the role,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't think there's gonna be anybody that can come in and be the new Chester. Is what I mean. You know what I mean?
That's like the, what was it? I think it was Journey, but when their frontman died, some like Filipino kid that they
It's an
found.
Asian kid on a
YouTube.
song. It was a song search,
it
wasn't it?
was on YouTube.
That was a contest, and like he won.
It
Like,
was-
you're
it
in
was
Journey
something-
now.
The dude doesn't even speak English, but he sounds just like the old vocalist. You know what I mean? Like, you can't replace the initial vocalist, but
Yeah.
you can get closer. You can try.
You can get close and stuff
Right.
like that. Like, I'm not saying that there's going to be a lot of... I'm not going to hate them for getting a new vocalist, because I understand. If you want to continue as a band, you're going to have to get a new vocalist and shit like that. I'm not going to hate on them. You know, I'm not going to hate on them at all.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, that was the-
there's just, like, two fans, and probably even in the band's eyes, there's not going to be anybody who can replace Chester.
Right.
But see, that's the same thing that a lot of people in death. Before we go too far off topic, but like the whole deathcore community, when Mitch Lucker died, Mitch Lucker was fantastic for that band.
He was.
Don't get me wrong, but he made a decision and he went with it, just like Chester made a decision and he went with it.
well, there's a
And
lot
it
of
sucks.
conspiracy around that too, though.
There's a lot of conspiracy over a lot of stuff, but we know
Like,
for
the Mitch thing, there's, like, no conspiracy
we know
around
for
that.
a fact that
Yeah.
He got
that
drunk,
Mitch-
he crashed his
he
motorcycle.
crashed his motorcycle after getting in an argument with his wife, and he
About
killed
his
her,
drinking.
and he died.
Yeah.
The thing is that people didn't know how Suicide Silence as a band was going to move on without him as the vocalist.
Right.
And yeah, they got Eddie Hermida to take his spot, and that's really
Who's a
cool.
super dope vocalist, too.
He's a good vocalist. He's really good, but there's some things that
Can't be replaced.
they cannot be done the way
Replicated.
the way that the original
Right.
vocalist did it.
Yeah.
And what I find really interesting about that whole thing as a subject is that I am impartial to the latest album. A lot of fans didn't like it. They only sold 5,000 copies.
I really loved that album.
But that album was they did what they wanted, and I'm going to say this in the nicest way possible, but that album was complete shit for that band. That album was a complete shit show for what that band could have done. 100% of the way. And I mean, depends on who had saying what, and who did what, and what they wanted
But at the
to
end of
do.
the day, you can't blame it on an individual. It's a band decision.
That's what I'm saying. Like, as a
Yeah.
band, like, who said what?
As a community and as fans, everybody blames Eddie.
Because it was pretty much his idea to do the whole...
You got to pin blame
Right,
on
but-
somebody as a fan base anyway, though.
Yeah, but the rest of the members were like, yeah, fuck yeah, let's do that.
It's like
we want to do it.
It's like when the fucking Cowboys lose. They're always looking for whatever scapegoat to kill. You know what I mean?
Hey. I accept our losses, all right?
It's
I know we're a
lot of
shit
dead
team.
scapegoats is all I'm going to say about that.
I know we are a shit team.
But I've been holding this in reserve for quite some time. I don't think I've actually told any other humans this. But as far as my list, top underrated vocalists, Jack Black. Most people are going to laugh their balls off, but Jack Black, that dude can fucking belt.
Yeah, you can.
I mean,
He's got range. He can sing.
and I'm not even going to shit. I'm not even going to fucking kid you. dude, Tenacious D kills some shit.
Yeah, they're great.
Fuck it, Tenacious D is a great band.
Oh yeah, but nobody.
The two of them are amazing.
But nobody thinks about Jack Black as an incredible vocalist, and you hear this dude sing like at the national anthem. He fucking killed it. He hammered that shit out.
Kills it.
Made Fergie feel like absolute shit about herself. She's just gonna hate every national anthem from now on.
But it's very interesting because like the whole thing with Fergie, we had a conversation about this a while back. Is that like the thing with Fergie is that it's fucking stupid because there are people that are really angry about it, and then there are people that are not just like
just trolling,
that just don't give a shit.
Yeah, that are just making fun of it because it's comedy. It's something.
Because it was shit, and you can make fun of things that are shit.
And she tried to do it in her own fucking way, and she shouldn't have in the first place.
Well, she made a choice to try and make herself stand out, and it just went the wrong way.
It's like when Mariah Carey had that fuck up on like live TV.
Oh yeah, with the whole lip syncing bullshit.
And she couldn't actually sing. Like, interesting. So,
yeah.
That happened to Beyonce
her entire career, yeah. I mean, I don't know, man. I for a lot of rational people, it's easy to be like, she fucked up, let's laugh about it for a couple of days, and then we'll let it go. And then people are like, oh, she ruined our anthem, this is Murica.
She needs to be fucking killed.
Yeah, just rusty guillotine kind of death there.
It shouldn't be that way. And when Jack Black did the actual national anthem, that shit was fucking amazing. And he did it professionally. He did it in a way, like if you watch the whole performance, he does it in a way that I don't think anybody else really does it. He's just like, all right, I'm here to do my job.
Well, Jack Black does it and does everything in a way that's very Jack Black.
But it's very, like, when he's professional, he's professional. And it's weird when he's professional and he's not.
But he knows when to be professional.
Yeah, there's a lot of stories like that where he's like on talk shows and shit, and he's all fucking crazy. He's Jack Black, and like other guests are like, and then like off camera, and like in the green room, he was just sitting there, just on his phone, just super chill, just like not Jack Black.
Yeah, just a normal human, like messing around.
Yeah.
And it's, for me, I feel like a lot of it, I feel like people see his comedy roles more than anything else for the most part. And it's hard to get away from that, really. But, yeah, I mean, it's a little bit rough, but I like Jack Black overall. I think he's super underrated as a vocalist.
Yeah.
I think Tenacious D, even the movie Tenacious D and the Pick of Destiny.
I fucking love that movie.
The Pick of Destiny has been watched way more times than I'd like to admit.
Most definitely. Yeah, definitely. And that's another thing
about Jack
Black.
Stoned and sober.
Yeah, I mean, that's another thing about Jack Black, though, is he brought rock predominantly, but music and metal to the forefront of the American psyche. He brought a school of rock, which was huge. He was integrating children and rock. That's something that hadn't been done, or at least done well before.
Like the one thing America fucking hated for like the 70s and the 80s, was that devil music away from our children.
And it's the same thing with the 90s and 2000s. It's just now that we have it more accessible to us. Like back in the 90s. It was nothing but heroin and fucking grunge, man. Like, that's all they had.
And they killed the rock and metal scene with grunge.
And it's very, I don't know, like, grunge as a genre was very groundbreaking at a time, but
it didn't last as long as, like, other musical trends.
It didn't, but that's the thing that's the beauty of it, is that it didn't last as long as everything else, but we remember it almost 30 fucking years later.
It died in its prime like Tupac.
Fuck you, alright? 90s are almost 30 years ago.
Yeah.
That's nuts too. I mean, I don't know, man. There's a lot of really good vocalists out there.
Yeah, there are.
And there's a lot that I feel like are not at the forefront when they really should be.
Yeah. Like for me, mine would be Lizzie Hale from Hailstorm.
Right.
Because she sings fucking dope for a chick. She can sing like a dude. She can get shit going. She's got that raspiness, but it also can be super soft. Hit the super high notes and shit like that. And like another one for me, because we were just talking about it earlier, would be David Draymond.
Yeah.
He's another vocalist that can fucking kill it.
Yeah. Sound diversity, though, is a big thing in the industry, too.
Back then.
You have to have the range.
Yeah, back then when Disturbed first came out, you can hear his range and you can hear how he did things.
Yeah. Shit, the Sound of Silence.
But that's the thing is that if you listen to the way that he used to do his soft singing, like if you go back to the second album, if we go back to the first album, the very first album, whenever he was singing on that album, that's more of a heavy metal, new metal, metal album for the Sickness.
Yeah, when everybody was just pumping out new metal.
And then on the second album, he did Believe, and it was probably their least rated album on a fucking whole other scale.
On every scale,
on every scale in terms, but it got pretty decent ratings. It was pretty constant across the board. They have a song on there called Darkness.
Mm-hmm.
And that whole song is literally a harp, a little bit of guitar, and him singing, and his vocals are a lot softer. And that's what I feel like is the big difference compared to like him now to then. Now he sings a soft song, you can hear the age in his voice because of what he did. But you go to Howard Jones and you can hear him sing. He sings just like he did 20 years ago.
Yeah, and then you can really tell the difference. I mean, too many whatever the fuck that was, because nobody. I remember sitting in class and everybody trying to make the fucking that sound.
Oh yeah, that was just a thing.
Yeah,
like everywhere.
That was. I mean, that's gonna age me a little bit, but I was low key in middle school when that was happening. But
and contrary to popular belief, he did not get that sound from chimpanzees at the zoo.
True.
No, he just did it.
Yeah,
he just did it during.
Which at some point it had to be recorded because I mean there was just no replicating that consistently.
But whenever you're feeling the music, you're gonna do whatever you're gonna do.
You can do something weird.
That's the ooh-ah-ahs that he does in Down with the Sickness.
Yeah.
And the way that every metalcore band out there goes and says and hoo-ah
and go
every album and scream just because they want to scream, and like that's cool.
And Steven Tyler just making random fucking sounds because he's Steven Tyler.
Exactly. I think another reason why I really like Howard Jones too is because his singing to me is more operatic than like opera sounding, and I really like that because one of my other favorite fucking bands is Iron fucking Maiden, and that motherfucker can goddamn sing. Right. I saw him live last year singing. You can kind of hear the age in his voice, but he's been doing it since the fucking 70s. So that, is a thing. And then when he talks, you're like, he's an old dude. But when he sings, it's like, fuck, this is Maiden. Fuck yes.
It's like Metallica.
And every single one of them have fucking energy, just running, jumping, fighting a giant fucking Eddie. It's dope. Yeah. Eddie is their mascot.
And I mean, it's kind of weird because, I mean, as far as vocalists are concerned, you can definitely hear in a lot of them, not all of them obviously, but in a lot of them, you can hear the age discrepancy between when they started and now, especially if they've been around for a long time. It's almost the same thing with like guitarists and stuff too. You can hear their age in the riffs they play and the shit they do, I mean, not saying that a lot of them have arthritis, which some of them fucking do. You can hear it, you can tell. But there's a lot of them who don't and play a different style now because they've grown into something else.
Yeah.
Which it's not just the voice, which is obviously an instrument, but it's also physical instruments as well.
Yeah. And like shit's crazy, man.
Yeah.
Jack Black, on the other hand, though, he's looking a little rough. Like, I don't know what it is, but maybe it's just because we're all getting older and it's weird to see like the people that you saw
that you grew up with
on TV be young as shit. Now I get it because like my mom would be like, "Damn, he got old." Whenever I was a little kid, and be like, he's always been old. For my lifetime, he's always been old.
He's looking a little older now. Yeah, definitely.
Like, that person's been 80 for like 20 years. I don't know what the fuck happened.
Unless you're Keanu Reeves, then you're like a solid 30 years old for your entire
or
life.
Jennifer Aniston.
Yeah, Jennifer
They should
Aniston.
have just ever youthful babies is really what they should do.
With Jennifer Aniston, you can kind of see her age in her throat area.
Right.
Now if she ever hears this podcast, she's gonna go get that fixed.
No, don't get that fixed. You're a beautiful woman. Don't
giving
change
her
that.
complexes and shit out her.
Fucking Phoebe still looks like Phoebe, man.
Yeah, she still looks the same. She looks the exact same.
Yeah.
The guy who played Ross, what's his name?
David Schwimmer.
David Schwimmer looks the exact same. He has not aged.
Yeah.
Joey looks.
He got salt and pepper, man.
He's all white.
He's all white now.
He's all fucking white,
bro.
He has no. Yeah. It's all silver. He's a silver. I wouldn't say silver fox, but he's silver.
Yeah, like Matt LeBlanc, like all of Joey's eating caught up with him. Like he got pretty big. Now he's kind of like a normal like male body.
Weirdly enough, he's like an Uber car guy too. Like he fucking
he did Top Gear.
He did Top Gear that one time. I mean, he's a big car guy. I mean, that could be part of it. Spending a lot of time in vehicles.
That and power washing, from what I saw on Facebook, is he's a big fan of power washing there. For a little while. He was like, "Look at this machine that I'm gonna get to play around with. It can tear off your flesh," type of shit.
Yeah.
And he's over there just spraying concrete.
But who wouldn't have fun with that shit? That's some like satisfying shit to do.
See, that is a job that I feel like I would be completely okay having
for your whole life,
for my whole life, power wash shit, and go that hey.
But like in your head, you'd be power washing something, and you'd be like, yeah, fucking die,
dude. If you had Light the Torch playing in the background, you could power wash the shit out of something,
everything, because like there's a whole subreddit. Again, I go on Reddit a lot, and at like fucking 3 o'clock,
almost as much as he goes on P-Hub,
and like. Maybe some of the shit that goes from Reddit goes straight to Pornhub. Okay, I can't say.
Okay, let's pause for a minute because Pornhub is the fucking GOAT for April Fools. Hornhub almost killed me. I almost pissed myself.
What was it this year?
Hornhub.
It was Hornhub this year?
It was all kinds of musical, like brass horns and shit.
Last year it was Cornhub, right?
Yeah, I fucking died. I died during Cornhub, fucking getting hussed or fucking oh my god.
It was hilarious.
So funny.
It's funny, you laugh and you're like, haha, fuck you, Pornhub, I have bookmarks. You're not gonna keep me from my porn.
But yeah, I mean, don't say that. Because now Pornhub's going to fix that if they listen to this.
God damn it, Pornhub.
We're breaking the fourth wall just like fucking like the Torch now. Way to listen to that shit.
But it's fucking crazy. They have a whole subreddit that's for power washing. Like,
dude, that's life right there.
Videos of just power washing videos and gifs and shit of them, like time lapses of people getting their whole like these rich ass people that live in the middle
their
of
fucking whole driveway, right?
Like their whole driveway or their whole entire like
cul-de-sac,
their whole area in their backyard. That's just where their pool is, like their back patio and shit.
Like it's all the grime and like mossy shit.
Well, that and it's just like the concrete used to be this brand new looking gray color, and then they come in and they're just like, "This is what you could have."
Yep.
Do the whole thing.
Yep. And the crazy thing is like. I've noticed that everyone is so stressed out of their damn minds all the time, it seems lately, that we're all looking for that satisfying video. Mm-hmm. Like, I've noticed, like, my girlfriend and a lot of the females that are, like, really into makeup and stuff, you know how fucking expensive makeup is?
Very.
It's a whole hobby on its own. Like, that's car parts kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, she watches these things where it's these people, and they just destroy makeup. Like, that's all they do. Is they get this super expensive makeup, like the little compacts or whatever the hell they are, and they break up the stuff that can be broken. They smash the gels and the creams, and like they just like tamp it down with different stuff and cut it. Like they'll get different ones and just slice it with razor blades or like putty knives and shit. And honestly, I can't even lie, it's satisfying to me, and I don't even care about it. You know what I mean? And so we're all just so wanting that satisfaction video lately.
When they have that kinetic sand and they
get the colors,
the ceramic knife, and they cut right through it. That shit's amazing. Yep. And it goes back to the power washing videos. Like that shit is so fucking satisfying.
And back to the P-Hub, you know?
I love that shit. And I also love like the videos where it's like there's just the super sharp fucking knives.
Yeah.
Cutting just everything you throw at it.
Oh, definitely. No question.
That's so satisfying.
You know what I wish I could do? Get like old-timey axes and then throw them into a fucking log over my head like a fucking
Viking.
Viking.
To be like Jason Momoa?
I want to be a Viking is what the fuck I want. That looks fun as shit.
One of my buddies that I graduated high school with, on his Instagram, he was throwing like he was doing the hatchet throwing.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if it was in Albuquerque or where at somewhere.
Because they have places you can do that.
Yeah, they have a course where you just pay money. They give you like fucking 10 axes, 10 hatchets, and you just go into the lane and you just throw it at a block of wood and test your shit.
And that's way better than putt-putt.
And then you just run back. Like, after you're done, you run over there and you grab your hatchet. You do it again.
Yeah.
And it's pretty cool. Like that's,
and you
that's
develop a skill if there were to be a zombie apocalypse. You know, I'm not trying to be a prepper. Don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying.
I bet. Yeah.
And like
knowing what's gonna happen in the future, we don't know.
Then like Reddit and shit and satisfying stuff. I'm a fucked up person, and when I'm feeling really super fucked up, I go to the fucked up parts of Reddit.
Yeah, that's always questionable material.
And I watch like the videos of like people getting demolished by like trains and shit.
Fucking death videos and shit.
It's fucked up because a lot of times it's like third world countries or like second and a half world countries and shit. And it's like I feel so much better about where I live and my life at this moment in time. I'm not sure that's how the
number rank works.
See, you know what I'm saying? Like, because India is really fucked up. A lot of fucking people.
And it's like Russia, like sketchy ass cars and shit.
But in
and
Singapore,
like car crashes, like everyone that's in like every car crash compilation in America is fucking boring. If it's in Russia, it's gonna be an exciting fucking 20 minutes.
Yeah,
like watching people escape death.
Dude, because Singapore's crazy because that's the one. It's fucking weird because this was months ago over Christmas time. My brother was in town for Christmas, and basically the whole family was finally together for once. And we're all bullshitting. Me and my brother. My older brother is like 10 years older than I am. So we're trying to explain to my mom what Watch People Die is on Reddit.
Yeah.
And she was just like, I don't fucking understand. Okay, I get it. Like, I understand where you can get there's that whole curiosity thing. And he goes, but there's also the jokes.
Yeah.
Of like, did they
the
lose
brutality?
did they lose their shoes? Because like there's a running joke of like if your shoe got lost, like if your
shoes come off,
you're dead.
You got railed.
You know you're dead. But
like that one video where the dude gets hit by the tire that comes off of the highway.
Yeah,
that one was brutal.
Bink.
Oh yeah, he got hammered.
There's a bunch of crazy shit. We were talking about that, and then I shared one on Facebook, and he linked like 4 things that he thought I would like to watch. Yeah. And I was like, this is the first that we've actually gotten along. Well, we've gotten along throughout our whole entire lives, but this is the first time in our adult lives that we've actually come and liked a thing.
Other people's death videos.
We liked watching the same shit. And
it's interesting too, like finding common ground with siblings as adults, like becoming a sibling's friend as an adult if you weren't close when you were little. Like me and my sister, we grew up together, but we weren't very close.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we didn't share the same interests. She wasn't fond of me as a human.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to be like her because she was older, and it just tension kind of thing. You know, and now we're growing up and we live near each other, sort of, or close enough that we have our space, but we're not on top of each other.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And we're becoming friends, but it's weird. Like, we have to find weird shit in common now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's an interesting part of your life that, like, if you have siblings, that's something you got to deal with, and it's a little weird every time.
Yeah. I mean, you're going to have to. I mean, there's those. Okay, so it's not weird to me. But it's kind of weird to me at the same time where I see siblings who are like best friends.
Yeah.
And it just weirds.
It gives you a weird feeling,
it's
right?
It's weird to me. It just weirds me out because like I can get along with my brother. I can get along with my sister despite some of the stuff that's happened. Like I can get along with both of them on their equal parts. For many different things, with many different things, and kind of have a conversation with both of them at their own certain levels of what we can have a conversation about. But, like, we're not best friends.
No,
like, that's
not even
in
close,
no way,
right?
shape, or form. Like, no disrespect to them, but we're not best friends, and I think we all have that established and known.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, I love my mom to death, and everything like that. I wish nothing ill upon her in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
We're close. We're close as a mother and son can be.
Yeah.
Like, we are, like, I can talk to her about it with anything. I can talk to her for any kind of subject and shit like that. But it's creepy when a person has a relationship with their mother that is, like, too best friendy.
Well, if you've been on P-Hub, you're not as close as a mother and son.
Right, I know.
Exactly.
But yeah, no, I get it. I get what you're saying for sure. I mean, it's weird to try and get to know someone you've known your whole life, but you don't really know.
Yeah.
Is what it does. What does it for me? And people that I see that know someone their whole life and they know who they are and like they're really good friends. It just gives me a weird feeling. Because I'm like, I don't have that, but I don't necessarily want it either.
Yeah, and I think it all has to do with like what you're used to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like those kind of people would look like at our situations, but that's fucking weird.
Like, how are you a family and not close?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's just like what you're used to. You know?
Yeah. And I mean, for me, it's a little bit different. I don't know. It's just trying to become a friend of someone that you've known your whole life is a weird thing to do.
Yeah. And like me and my brother, we were pretty close as kids and shit like that. Like when I was like 8, I tried to fight a high schooler because he pushed my brother down. And then like we got older, hit our teenage years. I'm the oldest, he's the youngest. He did his shit, he fucked around. We drifted really far apart, and now we're back as adults, and he's got a family now, he's really calmed down. We're rekindling that friendship kind of thing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, even when we hated each other's fucking guts, if anybody fucked with one of us, we fucking stepped in.
But that's family too.
You know what I mean?
That's weird to me. That is so fucking weird to me personally.
Yeah, like,
and that's the.
Like, I'll fuck with my bro, I'll hit him all I want, but if you do something to him, I'm gonna fuck you.
Right, it's like, I can do that, you can't boundary.
Like, we protect ourselves, but like we protect each other, but it's not like. He's not going to fucking drive all the way down from Denver just to come and fucking beat somebody's ass. Like, no, that's not going to happen. Like,
it's if he's in the immediate vicinity, he'll help you out.
That type of... But even with, like, me being in immediate danger, he'd be like, don't be a fucking idiot. Why'd you do that?
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't mean to do that stupid thing. Like, that wasn't my doing type of thing.
And see, me and my sister, we've established boundaries. Like, we know that we should not be in the same area of each other for more than 2 to 3 days at a time. Or we're going to get on each other's fucking nerves and somebody's going to say something stupid. It goes both ways. Mm-hmm. It's give and take with us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We know where to set that boundary and that limit. so that we don't go over the line and piss each other off and take ourselves 10 steps back from the friendship we've already worked to develop.
Yeah.
Is where it is. So we ended up really, mostly now we see each other an hour, maybe 2 to 3 at a time. We'll get dinner, we'll see a movie, we'll go kick it somewhere, we'll go our separate ways to our different cities.
Yeah.
But we got the bonding time, we have the friendship that's there, but it's not all over all the time, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And like me and my brother, we're the exact opposite of like you and your brother, John, because like in high school, I remember distinctly one time, my brother called me, hey, I'm going to get jumped here at the mall. This dude's trying to stab me. And I fucking hauled ass there to the mall. And I was there ready to fucking throw down. And I had 2 machetes. One for me, one for him. Like, we were fixing to go down, man. And then when I got in that situation in Ohio that you know about, that I don't really want to, whatever. He got on a plane and flew out there just to make sure I got home safe. And we drove back.
That wouldn't happen for me.
Yeah, no. I mean, my sister would be there.
Showed up and we drove back.
My sister would be there for me if I absolutely needed her like that, but the likelihood of that scenario unfolding for me is not there. You know what I mean? I don't do anything that would warrant her coming to a different state.
Yeah, I fucked up.
Right, but we'll let that stay in the darkness where that belongs.
But it's really interesting. Like the whole family dynamic gets to this certain point where like it's just weird to me. Like some things that I didn't grow up accustomed to. Like most of my life, parents were not in the same room because they were divorced.
Same.
Like that whole thing. But like family members, like just cousins and shit. Like I was cool with them. I would prefer to not be related to like 50% of them, to be completely honest, because they're just pieces of shit. And they did that to themselves, and it's like...
Yeah. Like, everybody's got those family members where you're like, I don't want to be associated with you in, like, any way, shape, or form.
But I'm very straightforward about it. It's like, I don't want to have anything to do with you. Stay out of my life.
And see, mine's kind of fucked up, because I don't have a lot of extended family. Like, my dad, his side, he came from, let's call it a questionable situation as far as, like, the way his family was, as far as, like, financially... There was a lot of fucked up shit that happened in his youth. So he moved to a completely different state, found somebody he loved, married them. They stayed together. They're at like almost 30 years now together. Yeah. And that's almost fucking unheard of at this point. Like that's fucking time put in. You know what I mean? But it's almost hard for me to relate to a lot of people sometimes when it comes to the subject of like parents and their marital status, because there's so much divorce, because there's so much this and that. And like we don't have a lot of extended family, and the ones we do are all on my mom's side that are like still alive, right? But they're all on my mom's side, and it's the ones we still have are very close to us, except for a select few that put themselves in a position to not be close to us.
Yeah.
And that's what it boils down to, you know what I mean? That seems to be the thing for everybody. It's whoever puts themselves in a distant position, stay that way. But my girlfriend, her parents are divorced, but she has shitloads of extended family. Like 15 cousins on each side that she knows and shit. And they all go to family reunions and shit and do family type of shit. And that kind of disgusts me a little bit, like in the pit of my stomach, because it's like, I don't have that, so I don't understand it, first and foremost. B, I don't like a lot of people all the time. I don't want to be around that many people. And 3, I feel like I'm going to have to go to that family reunion and impress 15 to 30 people at a time, or at least be like, hey, I'm a decent person to 15 to 30 people. And that's so hard for me. I don't want to do that as a human. I like a one-on-one interaction because I can... If I'm one-on-one with somebody, I can talk to them human to human, and we can find a common ground, and we can both walk away from the conversation knowing, hey, we may have just made a friend, but nothing is definite. We might meet up at some point and hang out. We might not. We'll find out, kind of thing.
Yeah, like the whole family reunion shit, that's just like, that's dumb white people shit my family doesn't even do. And we're fucking white, alright?
Yeah, I mean, that's, I don't know. And I maybe disgust is the wrong word. It's just... It sits wrong with me just because I don't have it and I don't understand it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there's no need in my family to go out of the way to have a family reunion. We meet up when we meet up. If someone wants to meet up, we meet up. That's, I don't know. That's
it's interesting. It's interesting to me more so than anything. And we're probably gonna have to wrap this up here soon. We'll probably get on one other subject and we'll do something else. But like one thing about the whole like family aspect about it is that like. I've been such a... It's just weird to say, but like I don't want to say that I was an outcast, but it was kind of like that. growing up on both sides of the family, like on both my dad's side and my mom's side. Both families lived in the same town. It's completely cool. I was the odd one out compared to everybody else. Like, on my mom's side, nobody was really like me. No one liked the things that I liked, really. My brother was already out to college, and I'm not saying he didn't, but he loved video games. He liked rock music and shit like that. He showed me how to find all that shit on my own. But excluding him, everybody else, like cousins, and they're all different. They don't have the same type of attitude towards shit, and then they do later on in life. I've had the same feelings about certain things for eons. It feels like forever and a day about the way that people should be treated. If you're going to do this, then if you're not going to, like, you know, if X, Y, and Z doesn't fit the other X, Y, and Z, then you shouldn't do that. Like, in terms of being polite, being a good person, being a decent human being, and all that type of shit.
Shout out to one of my homies in Albuquerque, by the way. You know who you are, forever and a day. That's a quick shout out. Some fucked up shit happened regarding that statement exactly. We give him shit for it to this day. He knows who he is. When he hears this, he's gonna laugh his ass off.
But I mean, it's interesting because, like, even with the way that wearing like metal band T-shirts and shit like that around family, like the day of the day of my grandfather's like fucking what wake or whatever it is, when you go to the funeral home and you go stare at a dead body.
Yeah, the viewing.
When you go to the viewing,
which is a weird ritual to me. I think that's the weirdest fucking thing ever.
It's weird to me. They were like, "You're not going to go," and then they talked me into it to go.
Like, it's the last time you're going to see him.
The last time I saw him was when he was alive, laying in bed.
And I like that image.
I'd rather have that image in my head.
It's a lot better than having the fucking blood already settled in.
What fucked with me is they always told me it just looks like they're sleeping, and I'm like, but I know that they're not mentally. That's not the same thing.
It's not the same.
That's something you tell a kid. You know what I mean? Who has no fucking idea what death is.
I don't know, but it was so crazy because I was wearing a shirt. On the back of the shirt it just said "fuck your world," and one of the extended family members was like, she was like a great aunt to one of the cousins, their mom, their fucking family, their mom's family, and they all lived in Socorro and shit in that area. So what's interesting is that she's like, "You're gonna wear that to, we're not going to a church, we're going to a funeral home, first of all." He's not going to care because
this isn't hallowed ground.
Like, this isn't something that's going to happen that's going to cause me to like burst into flames. Like, I just.
Secondarily, he might agree with the sentiment. Like, fuck your world, I'm done with it.
Yeah.
I want another plane now. If that's what happens when you die, I can't say it is. But.
Yeah. He was fucking. He was a World War II vet, and he saw some shit. So like.
Yeah.
Who the fuck knows where the fuck he is? I don't know what happened.
Or where the fuck he's at.
Yeah.
Like, I got you. Yeah.
But it's whatever. Like, people have never really looked at me in the same light that they do everybody else. And they're like, they have a kid, they have kids, they have a significant other, they have this. And it's like, that's not what I wanted. Like, right now that I'm still decently young. Like, I'm not even hitting 40 in any way, shape, or form. I'm not fucking, like, at the point in my life, if I did have a kid, my kid wouldn't have fucking Down syndrome.
You got a few months.
Or an extra, fuck you. Or an extra, like...
Before your left nut falls off, the other one's just not producing good juice.
But
I don't know, I mean, I get it. It's just, for me, it's weird as an adult now, seeing with I don't want to say an adult's perspective, but a renewed perspective of all the fuckery that happened as a child.
It's an adult perspective.
Like,
it really
all the shit that I saw as a child that I was like, oh, that's just normal shit that happens. Now as an adult, I'm like, what were we fucking doing? Like, that was ridiculous. Like, how were the adults at that time allowing that shit to occur?
Yeah. And
you know what I mean?
It's crazy to think about because, like, I've been, like you said, the crazy shit that's happened. Like, I don't know if you, Austin, have had this happen, but, like, as fucked up as it sounds, my dad used to take us with him to, like, the fucking get-togethers that he would have with his friends. Granted, there were other kids there. My mom fucking hated the idea. But they would get all fucked up, drunk, stoned, and then it'd be time to go to sleep. It'd be like 9, 10 o'clock at night. We'd be, like, fucking tired as shit trying to not fall asleep. Hopefully we can go home soon type of shit.
Yeah.
And then they'd be watching fucking porn. I remember distinctly they'd be watching fucking porn. Not, like, DVDs, but, like, old rickety fucking VHSs of bitches getting plowed on a fucking TV screen.
Like American Pie dumpster porn?
Yeah, like that type of shit. But it was like a fucking those fucking tube TVs that have you can see the lines going across when you're staring at it. that like they have to.
I've never once thought to like check P-Hub with a homie. You know what I mean? Like that's not on the spectrum.
It's like why?
You know what was weird to me? Kind of a similar situation, but it's kind of like marred my subconscious for life for Olive Garden for some reason. Don't get me wrong, I fucks with their fettuccine Alfredo super heavy. I could slam that all day, every day. Don't get me wrong. But my uncle on my mom's side was a reasonably decent person. But this was the late 90s, early 2000s. I was still youngish or young enough to not know better and still know better at the same time. He would drive us around in his truck with a fucking Olive Garden children's cup, like a kiddie cup, full of beer. This dude never, ever didn't have a beer on him. And he was like an ex-cop, like up in the fucking town that he lived in and shit. And he was retired and everything, but he would just drive around, Olive Garden cup full of beer. And every time I see a fucking Olive Garden kiddie cup, now, it doesn't matter if the pattern's different, what it is, in my mind, it's Olive Garden kiddie cup full of beer. You know what I mean? And having an adult's perspective on this dude driving us around just hammered off his ass with an Olive Garden kiddie cup.
Yeah.
Like, this thing had fucking, like, cartoon olives and shit on it. This was some shit that I was supposed to be fond of, and it was just full of beer. And he would just, like, get out, grab a beer out of the bed of the truck, crack it, pour it in the fucking cup, keep it between his legs, and just be shifting.
See, that's the shit that my dad wasn't even like that. Like, he would literally be, like, fucking 12-pack in the fucking in the passenger seat, all the kids in the bed of the truck, and he'd go, we're gonna go for a drive. And we'd go for a drive, and he'd proceed to get fucking hammered. He'll drink like 4 or 5 beers while we're driving down a ditch bank.
And we can chalk that up to a different era. I think that's really all we can chalk that up to.
Like, I mean, I get it. You grew up in the fucking 70s and part of the 80s.
People were hammered all the fucking time. They did whatever they wanted.
You were in your 30s and the 90s and shit. Like, I get it. But, like, why the fuck would you do that with 5 kids in the bed of a truck?
Yeah.
Like, I thought about it more and more as I grew up, and I was like, that motherfucker was drinking and driving. He told me, like, not to do that shit.
Not only
when I turned 20.
Do as I say, not as I do.
I heard that all the time. Do as I say, not as I do. That was, like, my dad's motto.
Is that just a thing that happens in this state? Like, do as I say, not as I do? Or, like, what the fuck?
Pretty much.
But, I mean, New Mexico's fucking rampant with alcoholism and DUIs, man.
But it's that, and then it's like we said last time, it's the fucking Wild West.
You get away with all kinds of shit.
It's like, there was a story that broke out not too long ago. This was probably a couple of months ago. We were both, Austin and I were both astonished by it because we were just like, took them that long to find something. They were at the new Walmart. They found fucking like 3 dead bodies or a dead body already decayed and just bones in the fucking area where they have all the rocks. It took them like forever to find this person apparently, and then they were like, it was a murder case that just nobody talked about.
I mean, do you really expect anybody at Walmart?
There was that, and also one year, because in our state has the Rio Grande, and in the winters, no water comes. They shut the water off from somewhere. But one of the years they did that, and then people found a car, so they went there, they found a body, decided to dig shit up, and found a killer's fucking dumping ground.
Oh yeah,
in the Rio Grande.
That's right.
I mean, not only that,
in our town,
just outside of Albuquerque, it was probably mid 2000, let's say, like 2000. Well, mid 2010s maybe.
I think I know what you're talking about.
They found a fucking like murderer's dumping ground where they were just finding shitloads of bodies on the mesa up there, just like random as fuck. They were digging for like a subdivision or something, and they're just finding bodies on bodies and bodies, and they're like, oh, the count's now 13.
Yeah, that was the I can't remember what they called him, but it was something along the lines of the hooker or prostitute murderer.
Yeah,
it was something like that.
Yeah.
He would just get chicks and fucking kill them and dump them.
It's
never
crazy
found.
Though. I mean, we are the wild, wild west. I mean, to get a gun in New Mexico is not very difficult if you're clean. Yeah. If you're a felon and whatnot, you'd have to buy it sketchily, of course, obviously. But if you're clean and you don't have any kind of record, getting a gun is as simple as walking into the store, filling out the paperwork, waiting 30 minutes for the background check to complete, and they hand you your shit, tell you, hey, go do this safely, don't load it outside in the parking lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you follow those rules, you're good. You can drive home and you got your weapon. Yeah, which much. I'm okay with because I own weapons. Mm-hmm. I use them for a lot of things, hunting, fishing. Well, not fishing, obviously.
You can if you want.
You can use a bow to fish.
I mean,
if you want to get real with it. I'm saying weapons in general.
Yeah.
But I do have weapons. I have firearms, and I use them responsibly. Mm-hmm. I use them for sport. I'll go shooting. I don't even go shooting in the sketchy ass like arroyos, because in New Mexico there's things called arroyos. They're basically dry riverbeds, and then you go shoot in there and prop up your old TVs and mattresses and shit that are fun to hit.
Yeah, whatever.
Spray paint some bottles or something. But I don't even go there just because it's littering, and that's eventually going to end up downriver somewhere when we get a flash flood.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That 100-year flood that hasn't happened.
That will at some point, if we're lucky. Happen. Yeah. But were it to happen, that would fuck some fish up, and I'm not trying to be that person. But yeah, so I go to an actual place to shoot.
It's interesting. It's really crazy. Like, we live in a state where it's still the Wild West, but it's still modern enough to be... Like,
you could get caught on some shit for sure.
Yeah, you can. Like, if we did any kind of like fucking stupid shit from a computer, they'd be able to go, found you,
got him.
Like, bitch, we found you, and it's like, yeah, you found my IP address. Shit. Yeah, like, that's about it. But
yeah, and since you were wondering, John, no, I did not watch porn with my parents at any point in time.
Well, they tried to block us from it. But
I did have my fair share of severely inebriated adults growing up. So they always came to our house.
So I was at my friend's So there was a fight going on at one of my friend's house. Very Mexican household, so it was a big deal. Like, it was like a Canelo fight or something like that. So it was a big deal. And this was maybe when we're all like 11, 12 years old. So about the time that puberty's like a thing, and we're like, our parents are aware that it's gonna happen. Mm-hmm. Well, that movie Wanted had just come out, and there's a sex scene where that chick's getting banged out on a fucking like...
By Chris Pratt.
Yeah, but it's on, what is it, like a fucking washing machine or something?
Yeah.
And she's getting banged out. Well, apparently all of the drunk off their asses adults decided to come into the room where we're watching the movie, and all of them thought this was porn and not the movie Wanted that we had fucking ordered on pay-per-view because they allowed us to, and they just went on a fucking tangent, and they were lecturing us, and we learned some secrets about them because they were too hammered to stop themselves from saying sketchy shit that they did sexually with each other. Oh my god, that's seared into my fucking brain.
Parents say some crazy shit. Like, it's funny whenever you pull some shit back to them, though. Yeah. Like, you say some, like my dad's dad.
Remember this?
Like, I told my mom some, like, we were giving my mom some shit. She's like, what's wrong with you people? You're a human being, and I can joke around about this shit in front of you. You're a fucking person. Like, don't fucking just get weirded out because your son's saying this shit.
Yeah.
And it's, that's kind of like the relationship that my mom and I have. We can fucking, like, curse at each other, and we can yell the word cunt at the top of our lungs and not be mad at each other.
And see, it's weird.
Great.
I can't direct it at my parents at all. It's just like a church and state thing, like you don't cross that line. But I've said some fucked up shit in front of my parents, like in the form of jokes or like talking to my cousins or my sister or somebody and just said something fucked up. And my parents kind of like laughed it off a little bit. You could tell they were like, oh my god, my kid's awful. And at the same time, they were like, fuck, that was funny though. You know what I mean? Yeah. But there's no directing it at them because that would just be over the line. My mom's a tiny Mexican woman. She would beat the shit out of me because she has that ability.
See, my mom was one of those people too. She said some shit. She's like, you're a son of a bitch. And I was like, you said it. I didn't.
Yeah.
And she was like, what the fuck? That's clever. I hate you. I'm going to my room.
But yeah, family's a weird thing, for sure.
It's a weird concept for some, and it's the larger the family, the weirder I get. It's just
me too.
Awkward for me.
It's because I wasn't raised in a large family.
Because it was just me. Most of it is like, it's my brother, my sister, and I, and my mom, and then my dad. Okay, yeah. Like that's what it was, and like the grandparents, and maybe the cousins every once in a while. We would get mostly everybody together, but that once a year, twice a year thing, like Thanksgiving and Christmas. Maybe Easter they would do some shit, like we would do the egg hunts, but as you got older, you were just like, I don't give a fuck, just give me the money from the eggs so that I can go buy my pack of cigarettes or whatever the fuck I'm going to buy it.
Yeah.
Anywhere between 15 and 18, that's what happened. But, I
don't know, I mean, I never had grandparents, except for one. I had one grandma, she was alive until I was probably like 9 or 10. Ish. I remember my parents coming into elementary school and being like, hey, we got to take you out for the day. And I knew immediately what happened. You know what I mean? It's just one of those innate things. First thing pops in your head, you're like, that's what it is. No question. Your parents don't take you out of school for no fucking reason.
Except for my mom did that a couple of times, and I was scared shitless. So I was like, who died? And she was like, nobody. We're just going to go to Albuquerque. Like, what the fuck?
Mom, are we
Why didn't you tell me this before I got to school?
Are they gonna find me in the Rio Grande?
Like, that's some shit though. Like, she used to do that. She would be like, I'm gonna get you out of school. Like, she wouldn't text me, like, but not even whenever I had a cell phone. Before I had a cell phone, she would just show up at school. Freshman year, she would take me out of school, hop in the car and be like, okay, what are we doing? Like, what's going on? And she was like, what's happening? What's wrong? And she was like, nothing.
Yeah.
Okay. What happened? She's like, nothing. We're going to go to Albuquerque. Okay, this is awkward. She was like, yeah, we just kind of made a decision just like right now.
I've got your shit packed in a bag in the back.
Yeah, like we're just gonna we're not even gonna stay long. We're just gonna go out for the day and come back. And it's like, this is awkward.
Yeah, and I mean that brings up another thing. Is like I was saying, I didn't have any grandparents really except for the one, but there was so much that now as an adult I feel like was kept from me as a child, and that still hasn't been divulged.
They haven't released the Kraken yet.
Yeah, like I don't know a lot of shit that happened between a lot of people in my childhood. And I can trace it all the way back to one incident where I said something wrong to somebody that was supposed to be like family talk. And then ever since then, like it was straight up, we're not saying shit in front of you because you'll do the same thing. Mm-hmm. And so now as an adult, I'm sitting there like, cool, I missed like most of what was happening as a child. I was just oblivious to it because no one said anything to me.
And it's really shitty whenever you're like the youngest of the kids. You get no information until it's the very last moment.
Yep.
So like you have to look from the time that I was 20 to now at 28. The last 8 years have been like a battle uphill trying to get fucking information out of my family.
Yeah.
Be like, how did this person die? And they were just like, well, it was this. And you go to another source that has the information. Like, I remember asking my dad specifically how my aunt passed away, and he's like, nobody's ever told you this? And I was like, no, I'm like 15, 16 years old. And I was like, how did this happen? And he goes, well, you're old enough, I can tell you she died because of complications of this and this. And it's like, why is that so hard to tell somebody? Well, because most of our family... When my dad was sober, he was very logical, and he was very poignant, he was very smart. But I think his intelligence got in the way of
being able to function sober.
Be able to function
Which
sober
happens a lot for extremely intelligent individuals.
And then depression and shit like that happens.
Overthinking.
Yeah, overthinking shit. And he was very straightforward about it, and I asked my mom just to clarify, and she was like, yeah, that's what happened. And my grandma to this day, she will say that it was because of another thing, like it was some sort of cancer.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's not true, but okay, you can tell me however you want, whatever makes you feel good.
Dude, I was left in the dark on shit, like not even big events, just shit that happened to different people in our family. I just was left in the dark.
Yeah.
No idea.
Yeah.
Always left in the dark about shit, and then now that I get older, it's just like, I ask directly, it's like, I am not a child. Yeah. We need to get that whole idea out of our... My brother's like one of the only people. My brother, my sister, and my mom are like the three people that literally go, you're not a kid anymore. I can tell you this. Yeah. And I was like, you guys are not children either, and I can tell you this. Yeah. If for some reason the very next day I'm a gay individual and I go home and I go, hey, by the way, I'm a homosexual, and my mom goes, okay.
Your mom's going to be like, awesome.
Yeah.
I got my wish.
Yeah, fucking...
I mean, it could be like, I knew it all along, though. And then you're just like, I was kidding, Mom. What?
Like, that type of shit.
Yeah.
But, like, it's weird as shit because they keep you in the dark about everything, and then you get older.
Fuck yo, I'm the oldest, and I still don't, like, to this day, if I'm not there for the event, I'll find out 3 fucking weeks later. Not because they're trying to hide shit from me, but they're just like, yeah, I think we told everybody. And then I'm like, what? What's going on? Oh, when that happened. What the fuck? Like that kind of shit.
And then they tell you the shit whenever we're going to go, I go with you to go pick something up, and then they're like, yeah, we told you about X, Y, and Z, and then you're like, no, you didn't.
Well, I didn't hear about Y or Z, so
yeah, you didn't tell me
back.
Shit.
Yeah. I remember part of X, but you were intoxicated, so I don't know all of X. Want to run it back a little bit?
And then they tell him the whole entire thing in front of me, and I'm like, this isn't probably something that I should know.
The worst is when somebody cracks a joke about something that happened years ago, but you had no idea it happened, and they have to awkwardly explain the actual scenario to you. That's the worst ever.
But, like, I brought up shit that I remember that I, like, my brother has, like, fucking thrown out of his head. Like, his brain doesn't need it anymore, like, being grabbed out of the fucking window. And him fucking
purging information.
Like, him drop-kicking my uncle and doing that shit. And then, like, it's fucking crazy how, like, information is stored and not stored. And people keep shit from you for years on end, and then you're just like, I'm an adult, what's going on? Like, when my dad was dying, that shit was fucking like prying a goddamn like rusty nail out of a fucking block of wood that was 6 inches thick. And the nail had fucking barbs in it and shit. And you're just like, what's going on? And she's like, well, your dad's in the hospital. Okay, like, understood.
What's going
Why?
on? Yeah.
Because he's not feeling good. And it's like, okay, he's in the hospital because he doesn't feel good, but what's going on? Like, is he having what kind of problem? Like, is it fucking, did he cut himself again? Like, what happened? Did he fall off of a ladder? Was something like that? Something.
He's having a heart attack, something. Yeah.
Something like that. She couldn't tell me, and my uncle got on the phone and was just like, your dad's dying, by the way. He has like maybe 2 weeks to live. If he dies of a heart attack, he dies of a heart attack.
Yeah.
Click. And it's like, okay, well, that's a little abrupt, but thank you.
Cool, thanks.
That.
Now I can go see him.
Yeah, like now I know why, and then kind of get used to it.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. But I think that's where families are weird. To wrap this up,
Family dynamics.
Family dynamics.
Welcome to the weekly album review.
Welcome to the weekly album review and other bullshit that we talked about.
Yeah.
Right.
And thank you for those that stuck around till the end. We're gonna be posting these, like John said, every Wednesday, and we're gonna keep going. And hope you guys enjoy the ride, and you guys enjoy coming with us. Hit us up on Twitter. John's Twitter is I Exist, I Survive. Yucca's is golden_yucca. And mine, Austin, is In the Coffin 93. And yes, I know that's super emo. Go fuck yourselves. And you guys have a great fucking rest of the day, or whenever you listen to this, have a good one.
But if and when you do go fuck yourself, P-Hub is our recommendation.
There you go. Sponsor us, please.
Yeah, seriously. Subscriptions all around.
Right, but to end it as well, every Wednesday we're going to try to put these out. They should show up in the morning, early in the morning, before 4 o'clock, usually. 5 o'clock in the morning usually is whenever it pops up. So take our Zia Sound Collective SoundCloud is going to have everything there until it starts popping up on other places.
Yeah.
And keep an eye out for other social media. We're going to have an Instagram coming out as well as a Facebook, and we're going to be doing everything there. Possibly even try to get a Snapchat up and running for everything else as well.
And also keep a lookout. We're going to be posting random content here and there. We've talked about some different topics for different days of the week, so it might not always absolutely be Wednesday. We might release something on a Saturday or something on a Monday and just have that as a special day where we talk about one thing and don't venture off into millions of things. We just keep it to one topic. So keep that in mind for sure. And thank you for listening.